they were a great family, the 7 or 8 of us were sticking together. And I remember Aunt Elwyn and Mother, the oldest, they really stuck together. And my old man, God rest his soul, I was going to say earlier, if we all wait a couple of hours, he may still turn up. He was always late. And my old man was a bit difficult. And sometimes when he had a few drinks, he always also was a bit sarcastic. Elwyn had his measure. And I had the blunder about 1949, Elwyn was visiting. And the old man was out drinking, and the 2 sisters, relatively newly married, didn't like this at all. So he cooked his dinner and left it in the oven and left it to get, char burnt. And he came in about 9:30 or so, and Elwyn said, "Your dinner's in the oven." Anyway, he got it out and he was horrified, just black. So, about 40 years later, Elwyn had become a widow, and they're down at Gundale. Pretty much the same scene, 2 women, 40 years older, waiting for the old man to come home. He came home about the same time, 9:30 or so, and he came in very sarcastically, and he said to Elwyn, "How's the merry widow?" And she said, "Your dinner's in the oven." One of the stories I've never heard, and it might be about an appropriate time, is I've never really heard how my mother and father met. Oh, by the way, while Mother's contemplating that, who else would like to speak?
My mother and Reeva's mother were not compatible.
That's nice.
That's a diplomatic way to say it.
But anyhow, Uncle Jim was a lovely old fellow. Uncle Jim was my mother's brother, so that's how we come about. And of course, this particular year, they were coming to our place for Christmas, and they were the wealthy ones and had a car, and we were the ones that only had a buggy and horse. So when I was about 7, my brother and I got a bike each, and it was down come Uncle Jim and the family to Auntie Millie, and she took my bike. And I said to my father, I said, "But Reeva's riding my bike." Well, he said, "Shut up and let her go." So I've done that nearly all my life.
Ones that had breakfast with the old wooden stove 42 years ago, and I'm very proud to be here today. 42 years.
I'm very interested. Say happy birthday on behalf of my dad because he's not here. And thank you, Nana, for all the times we've had. Been together for 44 years now, Nana and I. So been around nearly all my life. Not many people can say that at this age. That's James will be able to attest to. So yeah, happy birthday, Nick. Hope there's many more to come. See another 10 out of your day.
Thank you. I was just reminded he died the year James was born 50 years ago, and that was one of the reasons James was named James.
You're just telling me that now.
Yeah.
If you didn't like him, you're a good bloke. You're the best, I tell you.
There you go.
My dad wrote him a letter. Mum was down there with him. My dad wrote him a letter to tell him that he was about to be his great-grandfather for the first time. And we were never sure whether he opened the letter or not, but they found it open beside his bed next morning and he was dead. But that's by the way. But he was a great character. He was full of fun. And he was a sly grogger. He had 8 kids. 8 kids, Brian?
Yeah. So was his
His brother had
wife.
8 kids? 9. 9. Okay. And
So
they
was
were
his
always-
wife a sly grogger, Ronnie? So was his wife a sly grogger?
Yeah, he was always short of money, and I don't know where they went, but I think Saturday afternoon Aussie rules games, and the pair of them would turn up at the Horse and Sulky, and they'd be selling grog out of the back of the sulky. And he told me they'd always made $1, and at the end of the day, they'd roll all the notes up, £5 and £10 and £1 and 10 shilling notes in a big bundle, and his wife, their mother, would stick it in a stocking up under a dress. in case they were stopped on the way home and searched by the cops. She'd have this money hidden. And they got home one night and the money was gone. The day's takings as well as everything they had. And they thought and thought, where could it be? And they realised on the way home, she'd had to call the nature and gone behind the bushes. So they went back and there it was. he was full of fun. He told me once that he was in the empty bottle business. I don't know how many there but he was in the empty bottle business and some
12,000 dozen.
22,000 dozen.
I stopped then and I went back to work.
Anyway, he had some partner and they had a dispute. And the partner was going to sell all these bottles somewhere else. And he hired a couple of railway carriages and threw them all, open steel carriages, threw them all into the carriage, broke them all, and sent them all to Melbourne and sold them as broken glass. But you had to get up early in the morning to beat him. Great guy. Okay, Mother, how did you meet Father?
He was going out one door and I was going in the other.
Where? Ladies or gents? Oh,
Which,
Where were you?
it's all the same.
Yeah, but where were you?
Oh, God, in Melbourne, I think, or Reading, somewhere.
Well, it had to be because you were living
At,
in
at,
Eddie,
at
weren't you
the
then?
hamburger shop.
No.
What about Luna Park?
Elton worked there. Bubbles worked at Victoria. No, the barracks, Victoria Barracks. Bubbles was
Yeah, she was a stenographer.
a stenographer.
She was the upper class job. Yeah.
They used to pick her up in a car at St Kilda, 61 Fitzroy Street, St Kilda, take her to the barracks, go for lunch, get on the tram and go home. They would go back and pick her up in the car after the lunch. They come up back, they've got to get back to work. That was when manpower was.
Anyway, we're all very grateful that she met him, because God knows what trouble he would have got into if it wasn't for her.
I remember the first time Dad met.
Yeah.
So she come up on the train, and the old man never went to the station. We lived opposite the station. And I can remember him coming over. The old man's coming down the side of the thing, and the front gate was there, and said, Mr. Clements. And the old man says, yeah, I want to talk to you. He said, "Where's the law?" And I don't know what happened, or whatever.
Well,
That's how I remember the first time I saw him.
the old man wasn't the easiest person to get along with, but Jim was his father-in-law, and he came and visited us almost every year for 1, 2, 3 weeks, and never ever do I remember a cross word. Nothing but the best. So your old man must have been very diplomatic.
Oh yeah, my mum knocked him out one day. I think he spat at her. I was in the kitchen, I come home from the football, offer something, I want a trip for a hot dog, and I come round the tin gate, opened the gate, and Mum said, how dare you spit at me? Bang! Knocked him, fell straight to the floor. She said, get up, I hardly touched you. Then she said, what do you want? I said, Trip, you're not getting it. So I just left him. That's all I remember. The only blue I've ever seen them have. And we tried to get them back together 6 or 7 times. They just couldn't live together. That was all there was to it. But
I remember Reeva for a fruitcake. The first time I met Reeva, she came in, she had a fruitcake, and she said, I've come for a cup of tea. Do you remember that, Reeva? She can't hear you. You turned up on our doorstep with a fruitcake and you said, I've come for a cup of tea. And she made the best fruitcake. She really did.
Well, just to introduce Yvonne, this is Yvonne Gillespie, who became Yvonne Gore. And Brisbane in the old days was at 22 Louisa Street, Highgate Hill. This is the Gillesses, and the Masseys lived next door. And the Masseys built it in 1902. And Yvonne lived there when she got married and beyond, a long time afterwards. And in 1959, Mother, Father and the 4 of us lived in the Massey house next door. But Yvonne's brothers were my father's and my mother's and their wives' lifelong friends. We had many New Year's Eve parties, all sorts of parties, and it was always the Gillesses who'd come down and sing and dance and drink and
Hang from the rafters.
I will say this. The first time I remember meeting your father, he was in the Navy. And he came to our, you remember we had a detached kitchen. He came and poked his head around the door. And Mum said, "Who are you?" And he said, I'm Ted. She said, "Who's Ted?" "Baldwin." "Oh," she said, "you've got no hair."
I was only 23.
But Ted had gone in the Navy and he wore a cap all the time. He always blamed that for going bald.
My dad went bald early. But anyway, thank you very much. Yvonne's been a wonderful, wonderful friend to the whole family, you know, for so many decades.
I have the privilege of having had two mothers, and it's not too many people who can say that they've had that privilege. I won't say too much other than Nana has been the most undoubting stalwart towards me throughout my entire life. I could do no wrong. Even when I was wrong, I could do no wrong, and I could still do no wrong. I'm sure that had I committed some hedonist crime and been incarcerated for many, many years, she never would have believed it, and that she would have been there when I got out, and I could have done no wrong. And to have someone to utterly believe in you to that extent for your entire life has been very, very special. I have many, many fond memories of Gumdale. And I won't share a lot of them with you because some of them are fairly, some of them are fairly raw. I do remember my first glass of whiskey. I remember being standing. I was probably less than 3. I remember standing in the kitchen and looking. I remember the table was there. I remember Grandad Ted sitting there, and Uncle Frank. And someone said, "Give him a taste, give him a taste." And Reeva said, "No, no, no." And Granddad Ted said, "Yeah, give it a taste, it'll be all right." And I had a taste, it was absolutely dreadful. But it was an extraordinary place to be the child that I was. I'd like to, echo someone else's sentiments about the kitchen. You always got to feed. I have very fond memories of the delicious things that could be made from almost nothing on that wood stove. I remember being down there at age 20 and they were heating the water for the hot water system was wood-fired and Grandad had thrown it together and worked like a charm. It was an extraordinary place and it was an extraordinary childhood in many, many ways. And it was all thanks to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Peter.